Hello, this is Walter from Champions Way Perfect Mind website department. Today I'm going to show you how to add images to your albums or to your regular website page. So within Perfect Mind, there's an app called Albums. So for instance, if you want to set up a photo gallery page on your website, we would basically advise using either the Perfect Mind app suite called Albums or to use a third-party app, and I'll get to that in a second. But first of all, let's say you want a photo gallery page on your website using Perfect Mind. We would suggest Albums. So for instance, if I go to my website here and I go to Albums, and let me just refresh my page. Now, if I go to the About page here and I drop down and I go to Albums, this is what I'm talking about, the Albums page. So for instance, here's the cover picture for my student birthday parties. If I click into it, we now have multiple images within that birthday party page. So I can click in any one of these images and then I can zoom in on it. And if you like, you can put a caption to the picture. One thing to notice is look at the design. So this is the website, your new website design, let's say. But now your album page is a system page. Therefore, the design will alter slightly. So if I go back into albums now, notice how my navigation, and this is what I'm talking about when I talk about navigation. I'm talking about the tabs here, home, programs, with drop downs to children, teens, adults. Under About Us again, the tab, I have another drop down, About Us, Instructors, Flickr, Albums, the Perfect Mind Store, and so forth. So if I go back to About, see how my navigation now is going to change in Albums. So you can see now that About Us does not have a drop down because the Perfect Mind portal does not use the website theme or CSS as we call it. So just be aware that if you do use the Perfect Mind portal, any system page will look and feel a little differently than your regular website pages. So if I go back to home again, here's home. And then if I go into the album page, you'll notice that there is a difference in your design and theme. So just be aware that the album or the Perfect Mind portal theme cannot be made to look exactly as your website. So there will be that discrepancy. As I mentioned, we're talking about any system pages within Perfect Mind. That does include your membership page or your product or store page. So again, the store page will look slightly different, and there is the limitation on using the Perfect Mind portal that the theme will not match your website exactly. We'll match the colors to look, the colors will be exactly as your current website, but the theme will alter slightly. So just be aware of that. So that is our Perfect Mind album or photo gallery that comes with Perfect Mind. So all you need to do is, if you want to have a photo gallery page and you want to use Perfect Mind, just let us know. We'll add the album tab for you. All you need to do is go into Perfect Mind and add your picture. So we can do that by going into your website now and go ahead and log into your database. So my login button is at the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and click login, and then of course username and password. I'm going to show you how to basically create a new album within the Perfect Mind album object. So now I'm going to go to more, and I'm going to go to other apps, and from here I can go to albums. This is the easiest way to get to albums in the back end. Now we already have one in here, so I'm going to add a new one. So now this is going to be kind of like your cover picture. So I'm going to go ahead and name my collection of images I'm going to place inside of this album to be, let's call it Testing 2016. So you could have another one for tournament, parents' night out, sleepover, Easter egg hunt, whatever it is, and put images within that. Now I'm going to change the show to be public. And now I'm going to go ahead and browse my hard drive for an image I want to place here. So the gloves will be look good. So let me throw that in there as our Testing 2016, and then I'm going to go ahead and save it. So now, as I said, this is going to be my cover picture for that album. Once I've uploaded my cover picture, I now am going to go here into media. So now these are the pictures inside of the actual album, and they reside under media. As you can see, there's my cover picture, my album name, and now I'm going to add pictures inside of that album. So I go into media here and click new. So now anything I add into media is going to be inside of that particular album. So I'm going to go to browse, and I'm just going to add 2 pictures into this album so you can have a look and see how it works and how you have to upload it. Now, you can't drag and drop, unfortunately, all the images at once. You've got to upload one at a time. So that is kind of the backdrop from using the Perfect Mind album page, is going through one picture at a time. So I've uploaded my picture, I save it, and then as soon as the full picture uploads, I can then go back into media and upload one more picture. So now here I'm going to go back into album, and as you can see, my image here counter changed to 1 because I added 1 image into it. So now I'm going to click new, and this is going to now change to 2 as well because I've got 2 images inside of that now. And then let me just go back down again, and let's find, oh, this one here will do, and let me add that and save it. And now you will see that I'm going to have 2 images under media now. So that will be the images within that particular folder. So I'm going to go back to the actual album, and you can see media now has 2 because there's 2 images inside of it. So if I basically click the toggle, there are the 2 images inside of that album. So now if I go back into my website, and I'm using another browser because I'm logged in, so I want to not have it log in when I get there. So I'm going to go back into albums, and we should now have 2 pictures. There we go. So there's the new picture you added. If you click on it, it will open up your media. And that's how you add basically albums into the Perfect Mind album page. So if you want to add a photo gallery page, let us know. We'll add the albums tab for you on the main navigation, and then you can go into Perfect Mind and add the albums and the pictures within it. So that's the first option. The second option is using a third-party app, which then can be embedded on your actual website page. And there's a lot of apps out there for pictures. Instagram, as you know, is one of them. Flickr is another. Now, for what we want to do, Flickr is the best because Instagram doesn't give us any embed code that we can then embed on any website page. And what I mean by that is, if we go into the website again, go to About, go to Flickr now, and you'll see that I've created an album in Flickr, and I added my images into Flickr. And now, as I said, Flickr gives me this snippet of code that I can embed on this page, which basically gives me this result. So I've added my album, and now you can see if I hover over that image, I can see the little arrows. So if I click through them, it creates now a slideshow inside my page with all the images I added into Flickr. The nice thing about Flickr is it does basically let you drag and drop all the images at once. If I got 40 images, I can drag and drop them right in there, and it's much quicker, and it's not tedious at all because you're not adding an image at a time. So I would probably recommend going this way. So if you want to have a photo gallery page, you can let us know. We'll create the tab for you again, add the page, and then all you need to do is go to Flickr, create your albums, grab the little snippet of code it gives you, and come into your new website page and add it. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. So if we go back into your Perfect Mind portal, so we're now inside of your backend Perfect Mind. Of course, this is what the album we're using, but let's say we're not going to use the album anymore, and we are going to want to just place your albums inside an existing page. So what we're going to do is go to website setting, and we are going to go to organize pages. Now, organize pages, it basically displays all the objects within Perfect Mind. So we have members, money, not being used, office, program, social site, time card. So these are the objects. Now, it's basically just a different navigation from going through here than going through here. So it all leads to the same place, but the app suite make it a little bit better organized. So I know that under Office, for instance, I have all these records or objects inside of that particular app suite. I've got my contacts, my check-in, my calendar, my emails, memberships, all that good stuff. So your website consists of 2 app suites normally. One of them would be social site and program. So social site is normally the main navigation of your website. So if we go back into design, oops, 002. So social site normally would house your pages, and of course, as you see, I went to the website, but because I'm logged in, it takes me right into the back end. So I'm using another browser, which is Google Chrome, for this. So as you can see, if I go to your home page, you'll see now here I have home, programs, about, store, contact us, member area. So the social site is actually this part of your navigation. So if I go back into, you'll see social site, you see home, about, contact us, member area. Those are the pages that we see across the main navigation. Programs are your actual program pages that you can get through buttons and whatnot. So those are the two sections that run your website through your app suite. So we've got social site and programs. So under programs, here are basically the 4 programs we're displaying to the public. So if I go back into the back end, I go to programs, you can see here teens, seminar, kids, kickboxing, and then web promo, of course, is when you fill out the form, you end up on this page. And then we have a backup page. But as you can see, these particular pages are not being shown to the public, so they can still be housed there. They're just not being seen by the regular public based on the profile we set. But don't worry about that now. What I want to show you now is how to basically go into your page and add this. So now, if I click on Flickr, it's going to give us the address now of where this page is. So if you look at it, you'll see that it's telling me it's under Programs App Suite, and the page is Flickr. So if we go back into your Perfect Mind portal, you'll be able to see that here's Programs, and under that is Flickr, the page. So if I were to go to Edit now, it would now display the same page. There are the gloves in that, so if I go back to that page, you'll see that that is how I can find my page now and where it's located. So after the .com, look at the /, the first bit of text, that's your app suite. The second is your actual page. So by knowing those two things, I can now go into the Perfect Mind backend, organize pages, and I can now find the app suite, which is programs. This is where the page I'm looking for sits under, and there is the page itself. Excellent, so we got that. So now what we want to do is let's create the album in Flickr. So if you got a Flickr account, awesome. Go to Flickr and go ahead and sign in. If you don't, you will need to basically create an actual account. So Flickr has now become part of Yahoo, so when you basically are creating an account, it's going to also simultaneously create a new Yahoo email for you as well, because that's what it wants you to sign in with. So you can do everything right here in the sign up screen, first name, last name, your Yahoo username. So enter your name in here and it will check to see if it's available or not. So oops, so Susan Yahoo is mine. So, and then basically it should let you know whether it's, oh, it's asking for last name. Then last name is, now I got that. So now it should tell me, okay, so yeah, so the username is not available. So as you can see, Susan Yahoo is not available. So if I do Susan dot Yahoo, it's still not available. So now let's do a one between the two, and that's still not available. And so here it gives you a little examples of what is available. So you can keep going through it until you find one that is, and then it will allow you to set it there. So there we go. So now you can create your password and just follow the options here, and you will then be ready to sign into your account. As soon as that is created, go ahead and sign in. Excuse me. Now basically, I'm signed in. Now here is the Perfect Mind, excuse me, the Flickr UI. So from here, first thing you need to do is you need to upload the images into Flickr. So very top right, you can see the upload button. Go ahead and click it. Now you can basically do one image at a time as our Perfect Mind albums works, or you can drag and drop. I prefer to drag and drop, so I opened a new window and I went into my picture. So from here, I can now choose the pictures I want to upload. So I'm going to go ahead and let's grab these 8. And now I'm going to just grab them and drag them right in. As you can see, there's 8, and I'm moving them over. So I can now close that window out, and as soon as the images appear inside of the interface, the images then are actually inside of Flickr. But before we do anything, notice how some of these images are basically sitting sideways, so I need to rotate them. So there's a little rotation arrow here, so go ahead and click it and keep clicking it until it faces or sits the proper way. So I got 2 images like that, so I'm going to rotate those 2. Excellent, so then they all are. So I've got my 8 images in here. So now what I want to do is I want to select the images I want to add to my new album. So by clicking on the image, you will see that it highlights it pink. But if I click one image and then I click the next one, the 2 do not stay selected. So what you got to do is hold your control key down while you're selecting the images for that folder. So I've got the control key down. It's the bottom left key on your keyboard. So by holding the control key, I can now click on all the images I want to add to the folder. Now I go ahead and add to the album. So these are all the 8 pictures I want to add to my album. So I selected them all, and you can see the pink border around each of those 8 images. Click Add to Album, and now I'm going to name the new album I'm creating. So I'm going to call it Walter's Test Album. Perfect. There we go. So I'm going to create the new album. If you want to add a description, this is the time to do it. Go ahead and add it, or just create album. And as you can see, it's telling me that these photos will be inside of the Walter's Test Album with a green check mark. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and click Done. Now that has been created, you now have to actually publish these images inside of that folder. So top right, you can see the upload 8 photos. Make sure that they still are all selected, meaning they all have a pink border around it. If you want to get rid of one of them for whatever reason, just basically delete that image now to be removed from this folder. Or just deselect it by clicking outside of the box somewhere and then going back and selecting the only ones that you want. I want all 8 of these, so all 8 are selected by the pink border around each image. Now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and click Upload 8 Photos. And now it's telling me here, upload 8 items with the following changes. So I've got 8 images going to public, 8 items in my new albums, and 2 items I rotated, which is correct. Make sure the very first one, the 8 public, that tells me how many images are actually in that folder now that are going to be shown to the public, which is 8, which is correct. So make sure that number matches. Now go ahead and click Upload. And I am now basically publishing these images into Flickr. Excuse me. So it'll take just a minute for this. And of course, the more images you have inside, the longer it will take to publish. But this is a lot nicer than going through individual images and adding it. The nicest part, though, is the way they are displayed on the actual page for you. Kind of like in a little video box, which then you click through to go from one image to the next. I think that is very smooth and very nice looking. So here we go, the upload finished publishing. So I'm going to go into albums now. And if I slide down a little bit, you'll see that Walter's Test. There's my new album. As you can see below it, Walter's Test, it says 8 photos. So all of my 8 images got basically uploaded and published into my new folder. So if I hover over that new album or folder, you can see there's basically 8 different things here. The share, the make a book for this album, download, or trash. The make a book option is really cool. It basically will let you create an actual book, which you can then pay for, and it will actually print it and publish it for you. Very nice. I know Apple has a similar function where you can create, basically albums right from the app. Same here. What we want to do, though, is we want to basically share this so we can embed it on your website page. So I'm going to go ahead and click the share this album icon, which is the arrow. Now, as you can see, it gives me 3 options here. I can share this on either Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or I can email it or embed it. So I want to embed this. So if I click embed, it is now basically giving me the code or the snippet I need. So to the actual snippet, you can add a header to that little movie box or the slider box, and a footer. So if you want to go ahead and have these two selected, I don't personally like to do that. I deselect them because Flickr already shows up inside of the images, so there's no point having a header and a footer that basically has more Flickr branding on top of it. Now the size of the slider is shown below here. Make sure that you pick the appropriate one. So right now it's got small, 144 by 144. So that's more like a thumbnail. So we really want to go a lot bigger than that. Now, as you can see, what happens is basically Flickr is choosing the first image size of that image you uploaded to be the actual size of your slider. So make sure that your first image is always large. That way you're not going to get something like what just we did, where our original slide box is now only 144. So that's not very big at all. So for that reason, I don't want to do this right now. What we're going to do is we're going to open this album, and I'm going to add another image into it. So what we want to do is we want to go back into albums, and I want to add another image into here. So I'm going to go ahead and upload, and let me just go back into my folder here, and let's grab one of these images that are actually bigger. Otherwise we're going to end up with a fairly small little album there that we don't want. So let me just look for something that's going to be a lot. Actually, this image is not bad. This is quite a big image, so let's slide that one in here. And it's uploading right now. Okay. So now we can see here we've got 8 images inside of my album. Now you can see that the small size went up, so you can see now because I added that large image into my album I just created, it now gives me a lot different dimensions. So for whatever reason, if you make the same mistake that I made, which is adding a small image first, you will not have the option on basically getting the larger boxes. So make sure if you do that, just go back and add a nice big image. Therefore, you will get the different options for your actual slide box to be nice and big rather than just a tiny thumbnail. So now we can actually pick a proper size. So our website pages, normally what you place inside of it shouldn't exceed the 800 side, and that is because your website page consists of 2 sections. The left section, which is your content area, and then your right section, which is the book your free class or your program little tabs here on the right. So we want to put something on this area here. So normally about 800 pixels is the width size. So I'm going to basically just go below that, which will be the 640. I could go to 800, but that might be the box too big. So just for safe, I'm going to go to 640. And now I can go ahead and right click on this and copy it. So now I've got my embed to put into my page. So I'm going to go to my website page now, and as before, we know where the page resides. It's under programs, and then it's Flickr. So I'm going to go into there and click now my edit button. Excuse me. Now once the page loads, I can now slide down, and let's go ahead and put our cursor where we want the next slideshow to go. So if this was the first slideshow, what you would do is basically place it, right under the last line of text. You could basically go ahead and hit your enter key a couple times, and if you want to add our new slideshow above the actual gloves, we can do it that way. So let's go ahead and do that. But before we do anything, let me go ahead and cancel, and I'm going to show you how to create a restore point off that page. So let's say you go in there, you add your slideshow, you save it, and then you realize like, oh, the page is broken now. It's not showing the way it should. Meaning that you would have to call Champions Way support, and one of the web designers would have to go in there and troubleshoot and see what happened to the page and why it was broken. There could be a charge for that, so what we want to do is eliminate anything like that and show you how to create a restore point. Therefore, if that happens, you can just go back to the previous version of your page. And to do that is go to the page that you're going to basically work on and click the edit button. Now, in order for a restore point to basically take place, and I'm talking about this at the very top right here, please select the page record. So as you can see, I've already made some changes to the page, so you can see a few different records with today's date. But if I hadn't basically done anything today, what you're going to do would be the first record. So if anything happened, you could basically come back, click the date in question that you want, and the page would be restored to that particular version. So to do that, all you have to do is make a small modification to the page. Now, the modification could be basically as easy as changing the tab name, but the problem is when you change something like that, you could change the page URL, but that is not the case, so you are okay to do this. So if we do let's say a dash on the tab name, or even the title for that much, you can save it, and that is enough to create now a restore point. So if we go back to this, and I click the edit button one more time, we should now have a restore point for today's date with the time, which would be just like a 30 seconds beforehand. And as you can see, there is my restore point that I just created. So that is basically how you can do it. And then if you want, you can come back and just remove the dash you put in there. But you have to make a change to the page, and you have to save it. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically add a, let's say, exclamation under the page title inside the body of the page itself and save it out. Because I'm just testing this to make sure that so as you can see, by what I had done earlier here and changing it, this did not actually create a restore point. So you have to make the change inside of the page content area. So whatever change you want to basically save as a restore point has to be done in this area here. So what I did is I added an exclamation mark after the page name right here. So then that created a restore point. So make sure making a change up here is not going to create a restore point for you. It's got to be done in the actual design view. So from here, what I can do now is go back, remove that exclamation mark, and now I'm going to go in and embed my new slideshow. So if anything happens, I can then go back and just restore it back to the previous restore point I just created by adding the exclamation mark, which is this guy right here, and you can tell by the time. These other ones were an hour ago, so these were basically no good. So we know that making changes up here does not create a restore point for you. It's got to be done in this area. Okay, now let's go ahead and embed our new slideshow. So I'm going to put my mouse at the end of the last line on the page, and I'm going to add my enter key a couple times. Now, because this has to be done in the HTML, because it's code, so we can't paste the code right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in a placeholder. So my name is going to become the placeholder. And you'll see in a second why that's going to be very important. If I scroll down to the bottom, this is now where I can change from design to HTML. If I go to HTML, it's all coding in here, so it's hard to know exactly where you are unless you've worked with this many times. But if you hold the Control F key, the controlled F key, the page find function will appear at the bottom left here. If you're in Firefox, the bottom left. If you're in Google Chrome, it will basically appear in the top right. So if I do Control F here, you'll see that opens up here. So now I could type in my name, but of course, because I don't have my name saved yet, it's not going to appear in Google Chrome because I was working in Firefox. So let's go back to Firefox, And now page, find in page, I'm going to type in my name. Now as you can see, my name is found now in green right here. So now what I do is I just highlight my name. And now because I've got the Flickr code already, if you don't, just go back into Flickr again, right click on it and copy it. And just leave it open. Don't close anything out yet because we're not done. Go back into your website. Now we found where we're doing it. We highlighted my name or the placeholder. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste that code right there. As you can see, there's my embed code, which is this. The BR stands for the 2 spaces we added our enter key with. BR means space, and as you can see, that's another BR there. So we added our BR twice into that page. Now here is the Flickr code that Flickr gives us to create the slideshow here. So there it is. And as you can see right below that, there's another one here because we've got another Flickr embed on that page already. So now that we have that, we can go in, save it. And our change is done. So now if I go to my other browser, because I'm logged in, as you know, the page reacts funnily. I don't see that new slideshow, and that's because I haven't refreshed my page. So on Google Chrome, the little circle-y arrow is the reload this page, is what we call refreshing your page. So go ahead and click the reload this page, and now you can see my new slideshow appears right above my second slideshow. So if I click through this one now, you'll see my images appear. Oops, excuse me. There we go. And here you are. So the images ends there. So then I can go back now, and you can see my images are right here. All right. So now if I can refresh it again to start the slideshow over again. And as you can see, this image is the actual cover image. So that image only shows when the page is reloaded. So now once I hover over it, that image disappears, but now I get my other images. And the reason that is happening is because, if you don't recall, we created the album, but we got the little thumbnails because the first image was too small. Therefore, I just added another image over top of it, which is kind of like a album cover. So once I basically hover over the image, I get the actual slideshow images. But that's your slideshow right there. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please give us a call. 877-774-5425. My extension is 6327. Thank you so much. And you all have a great day and keep on learning.